Yeah, there's a lot of action right here. You might see some shit too. You never know when you start this thing.
Yeah.
You might get some real footage. But I can tell you the truth. Like, I've started these things hundreds of times and they scare the shit out of me.
There are 30 theaters in the world that are capable of showing IMAX 1570 film. 19 of them are in the United States. 7 of them are in California. And we're standing in front of one of them, Esquire IMAX of Sacramento. Let's go take a look inside and see what it looks like to run a projection booth with IMAX 1570 film. It's closed. There's no closed door that's gonna hold us back. We're gonna teleport there. Magic of edit. We are in the Esquire IMAX of Sacramento, and I have Pete with me. Hi, Pete.
How you doing?
It's good to meet you.
I'm glad to have this opportunity to share the unbelievable experience that is Oppenheimer going on right now.
And just tell us about your background. Like, how did you come to be an engineer for IMAX film?
It started way back in 1999 when I first got out of college and tried to make films like, on 35 millimeter and decided, I better get a real job. And IMAX was calling for some projectionists, and I actually got in just kind of taken under the wing by somebody really experienced and was taught the trade through the ropes and kind of just worked my way through.
It was like all fate of a chance.
Yeah, it was an opportunity, and I'm glad I got a chance to do that because there's no comparison.
You mentioned the 35 millimeter film. Wasn't it like super expensive, and the cameras were like expensive back then?
Yeah, I mean everything was expensive for the film, because you got developing costs, you've got film equipment, sound equipment, everything's separate. So.
Yeah. How many films have you run for IMAX, like with IMAX projection, with the big IMAX spools?
Well, I can tell you I've probably run enough film to go to the moon and back, like in my 20 years, like legitimately, because of the length of these films. Like just the Chris Nolan film alone is 11 miles long. And we're talking thousands of IMAX shows over the last 20 years, because I've been in the educational market. I'm working for Chris Nolan's movies. Universal Pictures is sponsoring this one, so it's really exciting.
They had to fly you in from Portland.
Yeah, we travel. Yeah, we have to travel because there's not a lot of us left. Yeah, we're trying to keep the trades alive, so.
You guys should just launch like a school. A school for film projectionists for IMAX.
It's funny you say that because I actually went to a school like that in 2006. I went to an IMAX school, which was all technical training through IMAX, and that's kind of where I really sharpened my chops. And I was able to do stuff like this down the road. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
I've been to the showing, and after that I came up and I saw you like running around feeding the film back. And I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing exactly to the T.
It's a habits formed. Yeah, you want good habits, and that's the key, is to be precise and give that great experience every time.
What is your favorite movie that was ever screened on IMAX 1570?
Wow, truthfully, I'm a big fan of the space movies. Space Station with the space shuttle launch and that 20,000 watt subwoofer, and just having just sitting at the launch pad. I could watch that 1,000 times and still get excited, and watch kids falling out of their seats, trying to reach for it because it's in 3D, and it's just the whole experience is just great. It makes me smile every time.
It just adds to the fun.
It does.
Kids are
it does.
Going for it. What's the biggest challenge with Oppenheimer?
The biggest challenge with Oppenheimer is the weight and the length of this picture.
Yeah, that's
we had to extend an already extended deck 2 more inches, and we had to 3D print these moldings. And when we first started up, they were making contact with the actual structural parts of the QTRU. So we had to modify the QTRU and make sure the weight balances were there.
You had to unscrew some bolts.
Yeah, we had to take bolts out, then call the IMAX engineering and be like, can they still handle this? And apparently they can still handle 15,000 pounds. So we're well under threshold.
What do you think is the impact that IMAX film is making to the filmmaking world in general? Because there's a lot of options of good cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. I think IMAX is showing the people that there is still that old school, traditional, large format resolution that's just so unmatched that it's just a challenge to shoot in, it's a challenge to present in. So it's not the easiest format to use based on the size of the cameras, what it takes to process the films and get everything on screen in film. It's a big undertaking, but Chris Nolan will do it. So I think he'll inspire other filmmakers to do it
And
too.
it's just like the whole process of filming even, because the camera is big
Yes.
and loud.
Yeah, so everything is harder in IMAX, but it's also bigger, better, higher resolution. You're getting that
it's the
true-to-life
best.
experience.
It's the best resolution. There's
It's
like
the highest resolution. you can
highest
get.
resolution possible. There's like no comparison to like digital world.
Yeah,
It would
in a
be
digital
18K.
world, yeah, we're going up to 18K. I think film will have a special feel because it's been around for 100 years, and I think it can continue to be around for another 50 years. And that's really what I'm hoping for, because it's like I'm passionate about bringing that experience to an audience.
Does it mean like, because we talked about the resolution, it's the highest resolution, and because it's shot on IMAX camera with the 70mm 1570 film, does it mean that you can only do IMAX movies, show IMAX movies on IMAX 1570 that are shot on 1570 film?
Right. Well, at that point, 1570 film, when you're shooting like Chris Nolan did with this movie, that is the highest resolution you're going to get. However, we do have an older technology that if you did shoot on, say, a red system and it was a really high-end digital setup, you could use something called digital master recording, where we actually take each frame and we'll put it on 1570 film, but we're doing it frame by frame by frame, and we're color correcting, taking out all the artifacts. And we did the Matrix like that. We did Harry Potter movies like that, Star Wars Attack of the Clones. The resolution is great, but is it exactly like shooting on the 1570 camera? No.
Probably not.
That's untouched.
Yeah. But how does it scale to be on 1570?
So yeah, so you could take like a 35mm movie shot on a 35mm platform, and you could put it into a DMR system and blow it up to 70mm. You're gonna get a little bit less resolution than you would get from shooting 1570, but it's still really nice.
Yeah, so there was actually a lot of movies.
Oh yeah, all kinds of movies, yeah.
Because like we see when some movies came out, like even back in days, it was like, watch it in IMAX.
Yeah.
But we know for sure it wasn't shot in IMAX.
Right, it was made for IMAX.
It was made for
yeah,
IMAX.
so Chris Nolan's like the first director to call in. With Dark Knight, he was the first one to say, I'm gonna use IMAX film cameras and interlink that with my digital stuff. And he was able to do that and then put that on a print. And when the film shots went on film, oh my God. It's like the audience was like, oh my God, you know, like.
Yeah, because it's like, it just opens up.
Yeah, like this is
1,
like,
4, 3,
whoa,
2,
what
1.
am I even
It's
watching?
a
Yeah,
huge,
it's
it's a huge
one of those
aspect
wow
ratio.
factors.
We see all these big movies, Interstellar, we see Tenet, we see Dunkirk, Oppenheimer. They are all big budget movies.
Yeah.
But what was original purpose of 1570? It was not actual like feature films. It was educational stuff.
It was educational and travel and inspirational films, yeah.
Yeah,
As
how is that
filmmakers-
possible? Because the process is so expensive to film, develop, print. How is it possible that like they would actually develop a system this big and capable just for educational and inspiring
yeah,
projects?
I mean, it goes all the way back to like McGillivray Freeman and those guys when they're making surfing movies. They wanted to have the biggest, baddest waves on film, and they said, "What's the biggest, baddest format to shoot in?" IMAX. So then they started doing travel and going all over the planet and showing you like places that you've never been, and flying IMAX cameras through canyons and putting them on helicopters and just doing amazing things with them. But truthfully, it was really just the audiences, you know, that embraced it and were.
So they did have big budgets for that.
Yeah, they were big, but not big like these Hollywood budgets, like $100+ million, like Oppenheimer.
And for educational, it's usually like government sponsored.
A lot of them are sponsored, yeah, through grants and all that, yeah. But it's just the passion of filmmaking that was really all about.
Let's head upstairs and just see what it takes to run the film.
Yeah, let's go
and-
take a look at it.
and
Let's,
to see
let's
what
see
it
what this is all about.
Yeah, what this is all about.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So here we are at the projection booth, and let's go inside and see what's up there.
Oh my God. But let me show you the booth. Right here behind us here is the print, the largest IMAX print ever actually presented. It's Oppenheimer 70mm. And the projector's laced up for the next show, as you can see here. If you want to follow me around here. The ideal of projection is we're moving 24 frames per second. So if you look at each one of these frames, this is individual frames. So when the actual image hits the screen, that's the size of the frame. So we're moving 24 frames per second. So if you count these frames up, 24 frames, that is being registered in aperture every second. So
approximately 5 feet
about
per
5
second.
feet of film, yeah.
5 feet of film per second.
So to do that, it requires a lot of precision motors and machinery and electronics that are communicated through relays and
everything
all
has
kinds
to
of
be
control
synchronized.
systems and tension arms. It's a mechanical and electrical marvel. It's taken over 500 people, engineers like around the whole world to develop it. IMAX engineers come from all parts of America, South America, Asia.
So when the movie is printed, after edited,
Right.
shot and edited, when it's printed, how does it get delivered to you? Because it's 600 pounds, 11 miles.
Right.
What do you,
so how does that
what do you
get
do
here?
it?
It's a great question. Well, we get big old boxes that are about this tall, and each one of those boxes is going to start containing these film reels right here. This is the Kodak Vision film print.
And that's the original print.
Original print, right? So we're gonna get. This is only about 3.5 minutes of film. So we had to use 53 reels to actually assemble the movie because the movie's about 3 hours. It's over 3 hours. So it takes about 12 hours to assemble it, to actually like assemble the whole movie. And what you're gonna do is take each individual canister on a makeup table, and you're gonna put each canister on this platter here, and you're gonna feed it
So you
canister
start
by
feeding it
canister.
into a huge
But you're gonna have
roll.
to actually manually cut the film exactly on the right frame points and make a perfect splice with this tape splicer. Yeah, so it's a special place, like the Esquire IMAX in particular has a lot of history of just showing all the Nolan films, like going all the way back to like Interstellar. So that's something we want to continue here is like as long as Chris Nolan's making movies, we'll be coming back here to represent.
And how do you guys store them? Because like this movie is 3 hours long, 600 pounds,
Right,
11
like
miles.
what do we do with it, right?
What do you do with this? After
So
the screening
basically at the end
ends?
of a project like this, we'll take the best prints out of the bunch. There's 30 of these around the world. And the best conditioned ones will be shipped off in these cases right here. And we have a conditioned warehouse in Los Angeles where we're storing them all.
Okay. And
So-
what happens to the rest?
We'll actually recycle that because it's 11 miles of film and we only need so many copies to be on hand. So they won't all stay.
Yeah. So recycle, you mean they're gonna
Yeah.
destroy the print?
Exactly. It's sad, right?
That's painful. Like what?
I'm sorry I had to say that on film. It's special to be here. It's special to be a part of something that it's so rare. And you know what it is? It's the nature of the contrast, the colors, but it's also the brightness. And as you can see here, we got something on display.
Yeah, because that was my next question. Because film is moving so fast.
So what actually lights this
how do you
engine,
illuminate
right? So we illuminate this with a 15,000 kilowatt xenon arc lamp.
15,000 watts.
15,000 watts.
Yeah, so 15 kilowatt
So
arc
this
lamp.
lamp will run at 400 amps at full power. And if you follow me here, I'll show you what it takes to actually keep this lamp on because it's something special. Here, follow me down here.
It's always something
Yeah,
special.
that's something special over here.
Come on in.
So this is the room that keeps the projector alive, basically. Right here is a water chiller, and we're using this distilled balanced water system that keeps all of the conductivity out of the water. We're using distilled water only. We can't have any minerals in this water because we're running them around the lamp. All that aluminum around the lamp, there's plumbed, and the water is constantly, if you feel this hose gently, you can feel the water, that's running through the lamps.
Yeah, it's
It's really
high pressure.
good. High pressure. We had to use a little Flex Seal because this stuff is old. This stuff works.
So we'll add
Flex Seal,
Flex.
I expect a little endorsement for that.
Flex Seal, reach out to us. Reach out
Yeah,
to
reach
us.
out to the channel. But over here is the chiller. This is the conditioning unit. So this is all just for the lamps. But the power of the lamp is right here. It's direct current power. So it's a rectifier. It's a silicone controlled rectifier. What you heard over there is the air compressor. The air compression is for the rotor and the pneumatics of the projector. The dowser, the field flattener lens, the rotor air is all powered through that. So all that air is being fed out to the projector with the chilled water, with the 400 amps of electricity at full current. And the reason we use direct current is because we want a steady arc in that lamp. Because you would see it on screen in such a large screen.
How do we get the water and everything?
All right.
What
So
goes
all
into play?
this is the exhaust portion, right? So the exhaust is
from
just
the
moving
active
air.
cooling.
This
of
is
the
just
air.
pulling hot air out of the lamp house. But the actual cooling of the lamp is right here. This is your water send and returns, right? So all
these
the water, yeah.
the
That's
same
all the
pipes.
water, that's the same pipes. This is the power, so that's all coming from the rectifiers. So all the power and water is side by side. So you're running water and huge amounts of electricity. So it's a really marvelous
It's
combination.
an interesting mix.
It's an
Water
interesting
and
mix.
electricity.
Yeah, but on screen it looks great. And that's really what IMAX is all about. Like, how does it look?
Everything.
We
from
go
the
big
screen.
with IMAX.
How do you make sure that the image stays upright? Because
That's a good question. Yeah.
after so many pulleys
Right.
and
If
twists.
you look at the tree, it can get confusing. You're basically following the top edge. So you got to keep your eye on the top edge. So every time you're turning your hand, you're going top to top. So and then you verify when you get the projector, because obviously when it gets projected, it gets flipped. So has
The
it
lens
happened
flips
before
it.
in the past? Not to me, but some people it has.
So well, what do you do? Because
I'm not talking to anybody else in particular.
Yeah. Well, he knows somebody. We know. Does the person know you know?
Probably.
They're like watching. What? So when that happens, there's no way you can re-spool it
There really
back
is no
in.
recovery. Yeah, it's
Right,
a
you're
bad
just showing the
situation. It's a bad
You're just showing
situation.
the movie as it is. You're like, hey, people, sorry.
Yeah.
I messed up.
You're
Well,
like, if that hits the screen, yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's the disadvantage of losing your track.
Yeah, but that's still. I mean, I would watch upside down.
No, but with IMAX, our motto is double check, triple check, quadruple check. Hey, will you check me?
Yeah.
We want to be right. We want to be good. Like we're here for the audience. This is really about the audience, and
And it's about the experience and immersiveness of the show.
it's the nostalgia of 70 millimeter. It feels different when you watch it, and if you experience it, you'll know what I mean. But like every time I see that hit the screen, it like does something to my heart.
It's kind of sad that there's only like 30 of them in the world, you know, because a lot of people who wants to see it, they can only see it in
Our
laser
last
IMAX.
project was during the pandemic, so that didn't go as well as this did. So this is we're actually trending up. So
Yeah, because this movie sold out
we've been
crazy.
sold out for weeks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like I think a month in advance, the premiere sold out. The premiere week sold out. So it was like
This is true.
there's no chance.
I have
to buy
not been in the
tickets.
theater myself to see this movie.
I mean,
I
you've seen it,
projected
like,
over
3 times.
25 times.
3 times a day, sitting here every day. But tell me what happens, because if any of you watch the movie on film, you know that there's speckles or dust.
That's a great
So
question.
when you watch a movie, something comes up and
because
it's
we're
like,
taking a frame this big and we're blowing it up on 6 stories, we're magnifying this like 200 times.
yeah.
So a little piece of dust looks like a gigantic chunk. So what we have is a field flattener lens, and I use some special products, no endorsements.
Yeah, and you have mechanical advantage of that too, because you
Absolutely.
showed me earlier how you.
Yeah,
you just,
so
like,
the air compression I showed you in the back is actually, this is part of it. This is a pneumatic device. It has a solenoid that fires when I hit this button that will move the field lens up and down. So the wiper bars will actually take any particles off our lens. So we pay attention to all our scenes and how our prints are running. And we keep the booth super clean, but even at any moment you're running 5 feet per second, a little flake of emotion here and there. It actually comes off the edging. It really doesn't come off the film itself, but it will come off the very edge of the top.
Yeah, when it gets pulled in. So
Yeah.
like,
So,
if something flies in here,
more than not, you won't see it projected, but if it is there, we have the ability to adjust focus and also adjust the particles. The projector and the sound are separate. On traditional 35 millimeter, the sound is on the film. On IMAX, we separate that so we control the sound better and have more image. All we care about here is image, and our sound is a separate beast. 50% of what you're seeing in that theater, you're feeling it. So this is where the IMAX truly shines, is their audio tuning. You can see right here, we've got 20,000 watts of amplification. And that's for all the uncompressed loudspeakers, concert level loudspeakers are out there. Yeah, there's no digital compression involved. Everything you can hear is like pure 44.1 hertz audio. Yeah, just as pure as you can get. IMAX will give you the most realistic experience from a pin drop to a nuclear explosion, atomic explosion like an Oppenheimer.
Let's kind of summarize everything, because this is such a cool place. You know, everything is here, and you can see everything is open.
Yeah.
That's what kind of crazy. What's crazy to me, I didn't expect this to be like such loose environment. You know, for the
Right.
film, I was expecting it to be like closed down tight.
Right.
Everything is stretched.
Yeah,
out.
you'd think like that's the thing about IMAX. It's like it's alive, it's real, just like we're real. The film is alive, and that's what separates this film from digital. It's like it just takes so much specialized attention and passion to make this stuff work the way it does. It's not only the machines, it's the people and the filmmakers. And the beauty of this is it going to go away someday? Hopefully not on my watch. Chris Nolan doesn't put his movies on this format because it's not the best. That's the reason he does it, because it's still the king of resolution, and you can't beat 1570 IMAX. Digital is a long way from being able to achieve that, and even when they do, it still won't quite have that feel.
Yeah. Right. Good.
We're ready. We gotta roll.
We're gonna start rolling.
We're gonna roll.
This is an interesting place. Where are we at?
So we're in the pit of the IMAX theater, and we call it the pit because we actually are in a pit. And what you're looking at behind me here is the actual IMAX screen. And this is $300,000 worth of perforated technology with a 3D paint coating on it that's going to give you color balance and polarization effects that no screen can compare to. It has a curvature to it, and that's going to wrap your peripheral vision. That's like why IMAX is so enveloping.
Yeah.
It takes a team of about 30 people to rig this thing up.
So we're behind the screen now.
Yeah, now we're behind the screen, and you can see the infrastructure it takes just to hold this screen up. But the real magic behind the screen is the audio system, and you're seeing all 6 channels. You got your right and your left and your subwoofer cabinets and what we call our God channel, because that's our special effects channel where we drop those effects right over the top of the audience.
And it goes just from the top.
Yeah, this is 20,000 watts of just pure audio heaven back here.
20,000. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
Yeah,
it's a lot of power.
When you have to change those top speakers, it's definitely better bring your harness.
Yeah, and it comes in one piece. You don't
Yeah,
see
this is gonna come in one roll, and we're gonna actually have to rig this entire thing. And what we'll do is we'll turn the heat up at night in the theater, and we'll lay it out over the seats and let it all kind of settle. And then we'll get all the rigging done. We'll bring it up to the platform and get it actually pulled up. And then we'll tie it down, and this is where it's been.
That looks like so much work.
You know, it's a job for sure.
It's a job, yeah.
It's
it takes
job.
30. 30
yeah, that's
people.
right.
Yeah, that's nice. Let's go in the audience and talk about the experience. We saw the pit, we saw the screen, we saw we know what goes behind making
what it
this
takes for the
spectacular
IMAX experience
picture.
is what they kind of refer to as that experience, and that's really what it's about, is being in the audience and having that experience. And 70 millimeter just brings that out like no other.
There's a lot of rumors. What's the best seat? What's the best seat in the house?
Well, if you want to know where I tune the theater from, it's about halfway up the middle and then right in the dead center spot. So like row J, I believe, is my tune spot. Yeah.
Row J is the.
Yeah, row J.
That's the tune for audio. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
right
you get
in
the
middle,
best mix.
That's where we do the audio mixing. That's where I balance the light from. So everything. It's not a bad seat in the house, but dead center is where you want to be, in the middle.
Take notes. Row J. But even like we sat in the front. Sure. And it's not distorted. It's not warped.
It's balanced. You know, we actually, when we go around the theater, we swing a microphone around in like a circle pattern, and we're using like an audio toolbox, and we're looking at all the frequencies, and we're trying to balance every part of the room. So we don't want to have any dead spots. We want to make sure all the frequencies are decaying at the same rate, and we really just pay that fine attention to the audio.
Yeah, and you don't want people who sitting in the front getting hit, blasting with the sound, and people in the back not getting it.
You want to have a well-balanced room, and that can take a little while of tinkering with things, but it's definitely worth the experience.
And do you guys usually do it once when you set up the speakers, or is this
it's
process
done on quarterly services. Usually we're doing it, and now we probably do it every few years or so.
So it's not like it's for every movie.
Well, I mean, every movie will get an attention to the sound system. We'll get the sound mix, we'll bring it in, and then we'll make our tweaks depending on how we.
So when there's a new release and you're getting like a new movie in, how do you guys, what's the process? Your first thing you check?
So the process is we got to ingest it into the DTAC, which is our digital theater audio controller, which is the computer that basically is going to run the audio portion of the movie.
The brains behind those big speakers.
Yeah, the brains, and it's sending that signal to all those amplifiers that are giving us that 20,000 watts of power.
And then like from then on, you just like trying to fine tune it if there's anything.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to mess with it as far as changing any of the audio because that's what the audio mix is for. You know, it's already been pre-mixed for that. But what we're looking for is we don't want to overmodulate our cabinets and be blowing out subwoofers and having to climb behind that huge screen you just saw and
just
changing those speakers out. Yeah, so but I do like to rumble people, so every now and then I pop one.
Just like a little bit more bass, like a little spice to it.
Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, yeah.
How do companies, production companies, how do they mix for IMAX sound? Do they have like specialists on board?
A lot of the work is done at Skywalker Sound, George Lucas's company. Big sound companies like that will help with the post-audio mixes and all that. David Keeley Productions has an amazing sound facility.
And it's a 6-channel audio here.
Yeah, this is a 6-channel system, yeah.
So it's a real surround sound.
It's the old school real surround sound, yeah, the IMAX.
Yeah. So the question is about the screen ratio, because it's 1:4:3:1.
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
Yeah, so back in the days, it was 4:3, right? Like one of the first ones.
Yep.
I might be wrong, like with the development of the film.
The very early screens.
Very early screens. And then they started losing clients because TVs came along. So people went home and watched TVs.
Right.
Like, why do I need to pay more? So cinemas started losing money.
For sure. And they had to recreate the experience and
how
figure
do we
out a way and make it better
experience?
and unmatchable.
Yeah, so like when they came out with the widescreen, everybody rushed back into cinemas because it's something you cannot watch at home.
For sure.
And now that we have widescreens at home,
now
we're
going to
come to a full
bigger.
circle. Yeah, we're like,
we're back to full circle where the screen wraps.
It's almost the same as like 4:3, right? So it's like the same idea of having
the same idea, but it's
square.
Curved. So you got that peripheral wrapping, which gives you that extra element.
And it's just funny how we came from like being square in theaters, square at home. Then we're like, okay, let's do widescreen in theaters. Right. Everybody has a widescreen 16:9 at home. Yeah. And then we're like, okay, we can do 2:3:5:1 ultra widescreen in cinemas. Right. And IMAX is like,
we're just happy that audiences are realizing that the 70 millimeter and the IMAX experience is the legit OG experience, and we're happy that people are coming back in droves to enjoy it.
Yeah, I had friends who flew in. They actually drove from Portland to Sacramento just to watch this movie.
Warms my heart.
Yeah, so it's like that tells you something that people actually who care about this stuff.
They know.
They know.
If you're in the know, you know that this format is the best way to see any Chris Nolan movie.
100%. And we wish that Chris will do a lot more in IMAX 70.
Talking to you, Chris Nolan.
If you're watching this,
and I hope you
first of all, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you. Thank you.
But make more. We need more movies in 1570. I think that's going to conclude our whole tour.
Glad to have you guys here. It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah, thank you very much for showing us around. It was a pleasure getting to know you, getting to know IMAX from inside out. You know, it's not your regular tour of the studio. It's just,
I'm happy to share the passion because I really want to spread the word that 70 millimeters not gone away. We're still here.
We sure hope it's not, because it's the experience that everybody should watch at least once in their lifetime.
Yeah, come out and see some IMAX.
Thanks so much for watching. Like if you like this video, comment your favorite movie that you watched recently, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new videos that we might do, because see, our videos are fun because we get to see stuff that nobody saw. We saw The Pit. How many people saw The Pit?
Nobody.
Nobody saw The Pit. But you just saw The Pit. I know it was dark there, but still. You saw The Pit. And YouTube. All right, we're gonna close this.
Cut. It's like 2 in the morning.
It is.
It is 1:15.
It's 1:15 in the morning.